We fighting. Today's about opportunity and character. We got a chance to come out here and play football. It's a blessing.
Hey, every season is full of defining moments. Let's make this day a defining moment for us in our quest. Let's go, baby.
This is the Morning Huddle on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star with Rob Thompson and the managing editor of Blogging the Boys, RJ Ochoa. Now, here are the guys.
Huddle up. Welcome one and welcome all to the Morning Huddle here on San Antonio Sports Star. It's 94.1 on your FM dial. My name RJ Ochoa. Top of the morning to everybody. See you, Vince Trevino in the Brigade Bar. No Rob Thompson today. I'm flying this thing Hans style. It's solo. It's a great song by Eaz. The incredible, the dashing, debonair, Eazy-E, Edwin Hafner on the ones and twos, of course. The Rodeo Road trip has come to an end. And this is going to shock you. I know. But the Spurs lost again. This time wasn't ever really close. 114-105. They dropped to 11. Baby. Thank you, Pop. 11 and 48. I guess we have these ceremonial benchings that are happening mid-game now because that's all we have to kind of hold our hat upon. It was kind of a crazy night in basketball across, I guess, the state of Texas, even though the Spurs game took place in Minneapolis. Out in Lubbock, did you see this, Edwin? There was a brawl, a brewing kind of brawl. Brock Cunningham with a body check of a Red Raider and kind of turned this into a bit of a feisty sort of tizzy there in Lubbock. There were all sorts of Red Raider fans throwing debris on the court, and matters had to be taken. There were technical fouls assigned. There was a flagrant offered. Brock chalked up, threw up, whatever you want to call it, the horns up on his way out the tunnel as Texas came away with the big win, obviously winding down the way, making our way towards the NCAA tournament. It was kind of thrilling, especially we went from in real time, the Spurs just getting waxed to this really interesting game happening in Lubbock. Texas Tech got a great basketball team, but they were humbled, to say the least, on their home court. Even though this was kind of the analysis, if you were watching this game, really evolved. It went from that's a great basketball play to wait a minute, he fully body checked him into the scorer's table. That was the most fight that we saw from any Texas basketball team on Tuesday night, as mentioned. The Dallas Mavericks also lost on a crazy buzzer, like a 400-foot buzzer beater. Tough scene for our friends, obviously, in the DFW area. But the Spurs lose. Speaking of Dallas, Stephen Jones spoke, which you could offer as a bit of a loss for Dallas Cowboys fans. The NFL Combine is, of course, going on in Indianapolis. We're going to react to what he had to say. He touched on a variety of topics, including the Dallas Cowboys culture, which everybody has a take on these days.
Mike initiated.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. As long as we don't hear from Mike McCarthy this morning. We didn't hear from him at the Combine. Of course, McCarthy and Mike Zimmer not hanging out there. Instead, they are hard at work at the Death Star, the Star, of course, in Frisco. But Stephen Jones spoke, and I promise you are not going to feel really any better about the Cowboys as a result of it all. But the Spurs, as noted, did wrap up the Rodeo Road trip. And my friend, Joe Reinagle, upset some people on Tuesday. We had a clip go out on Tuesday evening, Tuesday afternoonish, of a conversation that Joe and I were having here on the Morning Huddle on Monday morning. If you missed it, shame on you. But if you do miss anything that we offer, that's why you can go to sasportstar.com. You can go to our YouTube channel, subscribe. You got to subscribe first. That's the thing you should do in the proper order. Search for SA Sports Star on YouTube. If you do, you can see us. You can watch every show every single day live. Of course, you can participate in the Brigade Bar. You can offer your comments. You can offer your chats. You can offer your points of discourse. You can, of course, also offer super chats. That is now a thing that we offer. But make sure, please, to like the video, turn on the notifications, and you can see what people are talking about, which is what Joe Reinagle had to say. We'll touch on that as well, because it's starting to reach a break point, an inflection point in a bad way, I think, for the Spurs. As noted, they dropped another game, their 48th loss of the season on Tuesday night. And again, the Rodeo Road trip over, 9 games, 1 win for the Spurs. Cool. We had a 5-by-5 from Wemby in the process. We had some great comments from LeBron James about Wemby. I think the comment, by the way, of the night on Tuesday goes to Jeff McDonald, who noted that Wemby did have a 5-by-5 game if you count fouls and turnovers. It was another sloppy game for the Spurs. In fact, Wemby, for all the praise and all the adoration, was benched. He was allowed to return to the game because, let's be real, I mean, he's Wemby at the end of the day. But Jeremy Sohan was also benched. Like I said, the Spurs just kind of feel like we got to start sending these messages now. We got to start acting serious in certain capacities, because the seriousness is definitely not happening on the actual basketball court. This was, again, the final score, if you didn't see the game on Tuesday night, 114-105, really isn't representative of just how not close it was. If you are a morning huddler, as some people like to say at this hour, a morning huddler, there are all sorts of advanced metrics and measurements and data that we can access in today's day and age. We can send robots to the moon. It's a wonderful time. And if you go off of ESPN's win probability, and this is tracking throughout the entire course of a game, what each team's given win probability is at any moment in time. So you could look back and say, man, at 11-12 in the first quarter, at 3-16 in the third quarter, whatever the case may be, and you can see who had the larger win probability and exactly what it was. And the game I like to play with Rob when he's here is, what was the last moment in time that in the game time that the Spurs had a positive win probability? And I'm here to tell you, I'm here to report on this Wednesday morning that at literally no point against the Timberwolves did the Spurs carry a positive win probability. They were literally projected and predicted to lose. Granted, they were underdogs in the game as far as betting and analysis along those lines is concerned, but they literally never had a positive win probability. The lowest win probability that Minnesota carried at any given point in time, let's see, came with about right around 8 minutes left in the first quarter, was when it was technically closest for the Spurs. And at that point, the T-Wolves carried a measly 78.7% win probability. Real tough living when you're playing a team so bad that you're only carrying a 78.7% win probability. This was awful. I mean, another really bad basketball game. You can miss me with the growth. You can miss me with the process. You can miss me with all this garbage, because this is a really bad basketball team with an all-time generational player who does all-time generational things. In fact, there was a lot of people, or were a lot of people from a national perspective, just fawning over, drooling over the highlight of Wemby with the, I don't even know what to call it at this point in time, the crossover, step back, 3-point shot. I mean, he is a phenom. He is an amazing piece of basketball, just glory that we have to watch be wasted. And on Tuesday night specifically, we had to watch it be benched. Victor Wembanyama and Jeremy Sohan were at one point in time against the T-Wolves benched because the Spurs apparently think that they are better than 11 wins would suggest at this point in the season. Wemby was asked about this postgame, and here's what he had to say.
I mean, we're being held accountable for our mistakes, and this is the only way to get better. And we have to make those mistakes to get better. But it's, the quicker the better.
I give Wemby a lot of props for being humble enough to put up with what's happening around him, given his expectations, given his pedigree, given his track record, given everything he's accomplished in his professional and really just overall basketball career to this point. I also give him a lot of credit for towing the company line for living along the lines of, yeah, we got to get better. Yeah, this, yeah, that, it's blah, 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 accountability. Dude, this isn't accountability. I mean, if we're going through the process of ceremonial benchings in the final week of February as we wrap up the Rodeo Road trip, what are we doing here? I mean, with 11 wins, where was this energy? If we're gonna play this game, if we're gonna be this, authoritative, slap the hands, corporal punishment type of crew, what like this just feels. This feels like the teacher, the administrator, the lecturer, the whatever that has all of a sudden decided to start taking things seriously, right? Like the teacher that was kind of your friend, the teacher who maybe had their PlayStation in the classroom and you got to play during the breaks, during your off period, and everything was cool, everything was copacetic, and the teacher got a scolding from the principal. Principal said, I don't want any of this buddy stuff going on right now. We want you to change this, change that, whatever. So you walk into class one day thinking, hey, everything's going to be chill. Everything's going to be copacetic. And teacher says, sit down. Everybody shut up. And you're thinking, whoa, what's going on here? This is a really kind of different way to operate than we are accustomed to. And that's how this is. Jeremy did not return to the game after getting benched. Wemby did. In fact, Wemby played a grand total. A shout out to Paul Garcia of Project Spurs, who noted he played the final 8 minutes of the third quarter and then the entire fourth quarter, obviously. All told, 13 rebound night, 17-point night for Wemby. And, that's cool. Devin Vassell chipped in 21, and it's all just, we're just passing time. We're all just aging. We're just watching paint dry with the Spurs. But they will be back in town, thankfully, I suppose. Where they have fewer, they have a minority of their wins in the building so far this season. But can they pick up another one here shortly? That remains to be seen. If you are a Spurs and Cowboys fan, it's a bit of a rough week because the Spurs continue to lose. And Stephen Jones, well, he spoke, and that is generally not a good thing as far as confidence is concerned. Stephen Jones, speaking at the NFL Combine, of course, on Tuesday, touched on a variety of topics, including, the Dak Prescott extension, the looming extension, that they want to extend Dak, that they want to extend CD, that they want to extend Micah Parsons. He talked about Tyler Smith, the talented offensive lineman, and where they feel like it would be best to play him. And he, of course, was asked about his father's, aka his boss's, comments from less than a month ago. It was less than a month ago when Jerry Jones said that the Dallas Cowboys would be all in this offseason. What did Stephen Jones have to say about that? We'll get into it next on the Morning Huddle on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star Spring Golf Classic is set Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas, with plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
The John Clay Wolf Show. Here's what's going on in the Wolf Pack.
How often do you, as your man, think about the Roman Empire?
Why do we have to call it Roman Empire? I mean, just call it sex.
Oh, so you do think about it.
Mike, I don't think that sex... Explain your point.
Turley's parents made the mistake when he was 11 years old of letting him watch the film Caligula. You shouldn't see that when you're 11, and it ruins you. And Turley's now a twisted individual.
Exactly right.
The John Clay Wolf Show, every Saturday morning.
Catch the John Clay Wolf Show, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to noon, right here on San Antonio Sports Star.
Do you have failing or missing teeth? Hi, I'm Dr. Andrew Mueller, Chief Oral Surgeon at Doctor's Implants.
I had missing teeth, I had crowns, I had partials.
There was no way I was going to walk into my bathroom every morning to see my teeth in a container.
At Doctor's Implants, replacing your teeth with full mouth dental implants might be the long-term solution you're looking for.
The 6-Hour Smile is a permanent full mouth teeth replacement. Your new smile will be custom designed to fit your face and lifestyle and will look and function just like regular teeth. You won't need to remove them from your mouth overnight, and you won't need adhesive to keep them in place. Eat freely and smile confidently again. research them at doctorsimplants.com. Receive a complimentary doctor's consultation and CT scan when you call 210-640-0000. Again, that's 210-640-0000.
Home of the 6-hour smile.
At Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, there's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the Ping G430 Max 10K driver. Straighter flies farther with Ping's most forgiving driver ever made. The Max 10K. Come in today and test drive Ping's newest driver at Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Visit us at your local Edwin Watts Golf Shops or shop us online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hi, my name is Alani. A little thing I like about the Spicy Deluxe sandwich is that you taste the crunch, you taste the pepper jack cheese melting, and you taste the spicy flavors in the sandwich. I'm telling you, 10 out of 10.
Hi, my name's Enrique. A little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's Spicy Deluxe sandwich is definitely that nice, tangy, warm bite. It's the perfect harmony of spiciness and taste.
Order the Spicy Deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
If you're looking to move out of your parents' place, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive, which is good because your little brother has gotten really territorial. You're blood related. You'd think it would be fine to share food in the fridge. I mean, who writes their name on every individually wrapped slice of cheese, Tyler? Still, you've got to admire the commitment. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and use the savings to help you move out and have all the cheese you want. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
Febreze.
Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week. Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, you know I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
Tonight at 7, it's the Aggies and South Carolina on your home for March Madness. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hello, beautiful people. It is the Morning Huddle on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. My name, R to the J. That's what like 4 people in high school called me. RJ Ochoa. No Rob Thompson today. You and me, we could do this. It's us against the world. Perhaps how Stephen Jones feels about the Dallas Cowboys. Why wouldn't he feel that way? All right. Getting close to 30 years on the drought. That's the drought with a trademark. It's got to trademark it so they can make money off of it. It is NFL Combine Week, which means NFL dignitaries from all over the ranking royalty of NFL families have descended upon Indianapolis, breaking bread, eating steak and shrimp cocktails at St. Elmo's, bumping elbows, evaluating prospects, grinding the tape, and of course having important and critical conversations with one another. It is generally at the Combine when the foundation is laid for trades that we'll see across the NFL, for would-be free agent decisions, whether in the here and now, maybe in the future. You get representatives from all 32 teams in the same sort of nucleus, same sort of space on this earth, and it can lead to some fun. But you also get an opportunity to hear from different people associated with these teams, obviously, and in many cases, it's the first opportunity to hear from these people since their team season ended. That, of course, is not the case for the Dallas Cowboys because everybody involved does so many media appearances, which we're grateful for. But not the first time that we've heard from anybody that is a part of the team's brain trust since they were embarrassed by the Green Bay Packers. On Tuesday, it was Stephen Jones's turn. Stephen's official title is EVP, that is Executive Vice President of the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. And he touched on a variety of things. I would say he kind of held court just a little bit. Among the things that I think everybody was and is the most curious about were his thoughts on what his dad, what Jerry, the boss man, had to say. You will recall it was January 30th, so not even a full month ago, despite the fact that this is a leap year. Be prepared tomorrow, people. It's not even a full month ago at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, that Jerry Jones said, it's going to be all in. We're going to be all in. It's going to be different. We're going to be all in this season on 2024. Stephen was asked for his thoughts and takeaways on what his dad had to say about the all-in philosophy and disposition, and pretty much did everything he could to sidestep the idea in general.
I've never known Jerry not to be all in any given year, but
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. He went on to just talk about how the team has been successful in recent history, how they've won 36 games over the course of the last 3 years, which they do deserve full credit for. I mean, that is a difficult thing to do, but obviously people are hankering for some postseason success, some legitimate success. And so we're seeing the walk back. This is, at some point in time, we all want to try to moonwalk. We all think that we can, whether you're at a dance, at an event, at a party, or maybe you're just in your room. You put socks on the carpet to make it easier for yourself. We all think that we can do it, but we can't. Stephen can't. He's a moonwalking fiend right now, walking back Jerry's comments. It always seemed unlikely that the Cowboys were just gonna, adopt an entirely different philosophy as far as how they approached their team building setup this particular year. And with less than 2 weeks to go, in fact, 2 weeks to the day from now is the official beginning in earnest of free agency in the NFL. It is March 13th at 4 p.m. Eastern, so 3 p.m. for those of us in the proper time zone, when the new league year begins. But it is 12 days from now, March 11th, when the legal tampering window opens, and we will hear about all these deals that have been negotiated, that have been agreed to, that just simply aren't final in a formal sense. And that is when we will fully get to see who's right here, Jerry, that they're going to be all in, or Stephen, that they're not. Stephen did, of course, have some thoughts on a few other things. In addition to the, I guess, all-in discussion, the most pressing matter, most kind of talked about thing with the Cowboys in this brief offseason has been their culture. I talked about last week here on the Huddle that every day last week, get up, hit the Cowboys culture. Every day. The Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, yet every day, one segment on Get Up was devoted to whether or not the Dallas Cowboys have a culture problem. This, of course, most recently is coming off of the heels of Micah Parsons participating in NBA All-Star Weekend, winning MVP of the Celebrity Game. And whether or not you think that is a culture issue is up to you, but whether Stephen Jones thinks that they have a culture issue is definitely important.
But I think overall, between organizationally, coach, our personnel department, I think our leadership on our team's outstanding. You're always going to have somebody who's going to say something. It might be, hey, that's their particular thought process on why we may have come up short. But personally, I don't think it's an issue.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you have to be really careful when you throw around that claim, when you say whatever team you're talking about. In this case, it's a really polarizing one, obviously, in the Dallas Cowboys, but you have to be really careful in saying they have a culture problem, because Stephen talked about it at length. It was a really long session that he had. I do think the Cowboys have great leadership, and I know that some people would roll their eyes at that and say, well, they haven't won anything, et cetera, and that's fair. But I mean, they are generally great people. And so the word culture can sometimes mean this, that, or whatever. I think you can totally claim that the Cowboys don't have a culture that is completely and totally focused on the matters at hand because of who they are. But that does stem from the point of leadership that Stephen is a part of, because of all the entities that the Cowboys have their hands in, of course. things get a little bit frazzled and get a little bit mixed up. And that's just kind of the name of the game when you're playing for America's team. Among all the hodgepodge of things that Steven said beyond that, the thing I found to be the most interesting and that may have tipped some sort of hand relative to free agency. By the way, Brian says in the Brigade Bar, the star players need to stand up and do better in the playoffs. That's Dax, CD, and Micah. Like, you need your best players to play their best, and none of them did, and that's the mindset. That's fair. Like, you could totally criticize them for not showing up when it mattered the most. That is representative of some semblance of culture. I agree with you, Brian. Fair point. But quickly, we don't know exactly what is going to happen with Tyron Smith, or that the Cowboys are going to bring him back to play left tackle for them once again in 2024. If they do not, Tyler Smith seems like a would-be option at the position. Of course, Tyler was a phenomenal left guard for Dallas last year. They didn't move him out when Tyron did miss time. Steven was asked about Tyler Smith and his future, and here is what he had to say.
That's remains to be seen. I mean, it's starting to feel like Larry Allen all over again. The great thing about Tyler is his versatility. He could be a great left tackle too. Tyler's got that in him. And, I think at the end of the day, when we're through massaging it, we'll have a good spot for him. And the great news is we have Tyler Smith.
I mean, walking the line, not Steven's first time, obviously, at all this. My read on that, if it's meaningful to you, is I think the Cowboys want to keep Tyler Smith at guard. He's got some shorter arms relative to the ideal tackle prospect. Not that he's a prospect, but he's but I think the Cowboys probably want to keep him at guard, probably want to, just run things back with Tyron one more time. Maybe they do draft a tackle. There's plenty of options. If you're looking for a tackle on this year's draft, it is the right one to be in that position. But we'll see. We will know for sure in about 2 weeks' time when Tyron does or does not sign a new contract with the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, of course, in some sort of action, with the NFL Combine happening, but the San Antonio Spurs were in actual action, if you want to call it that, on Tuesday night. They lost to the San Antonio Spurs, to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit when we discuss the Spurs at much larger length. But for now, we're going to focus on what might be missing with the Cowboys, because we can talk about Tyron and Tyler, et cetera. The reality is there are things that they need to add that they do not have. What are those things? We've got the answers coming up next on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Blitz with Jason and Joe. Afternoons at 2.
Coming up on the Blitz, it is Wednesday. The NFL Combine continues out at Indianapolis. Stephen Jones spoke yesterday. Will Jerry Jones speak today? Spurs finished up their Rodeo Road trip. They are on their way home. We'll react to that. And moving forward, what are they going to do? How do they handle Wembanyama? The Blitz begins at 2.
The Blitz with Jason and Joe. Afternoons at 2 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Hello, this is Chip with Diamond J Properties. You're invited to our coastal waterfront grand opening this Saturday, where you can get 2 acres with bay access for only $49.9. That's right, 2 acres bay access for only $49.9. This coastal waterfront community has over 4 miles of water frontage with access to the ICW, Gulf, Matagorda Bay, and much more. Property features paved roads, underground utilities, boat launch, pier, pool, cabana, and more. This property is shown by appointment only. Call now, 210-853-0389. 210 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water, pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
2 seconds left on the clock, third field goal range, and it looks like he's going to go with a 5-iron. No, wait. The quarterback is skating back on the ice. He's talking with his caddy. They're pulling the goalie. He skates off the fairway as the kicker lines up his putt. It's a breakaway. They bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Touchdown savings, birdie goal.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
We're just weeks into this year, and the news is already nonstop. 2 overseas wars, a presidential election already testing the democratic process, a former president in court. It can feel impossible to keep up with, but we can help. I'm Brad Milkey, the host of Start Here, the daily podcast from ABC News. Every morning, my team and I get you caught up on the day's news in a quick, straightforward way that's easy to understand. So, kickstart your morning. Start smart with Start Here and ABC News, because staying...
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% on your choice of any 3 or more A.O. Smith water heaters. Plus, save an extra 5% every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Visit us for the materials you need. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at lowes.com/credit for details. U.S. only.
Tonight at 7, it's the Aggies and South Carolina on your home for March Madness. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hello. Huddle up. It is the Morning Huddle on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Spurs lost on Tuesday night. You could have replayed that from any week, basically ever in the past. Yeah, Spurs don't play every Tuesday. But you get the point. All right, we're going to get to the Spurs in just a little bit. For now, the Dallas Cowboys are under the microscope because they lost again. And that remains a point of frustration for everyone involved. All right? Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a take. Everybody has an idea. Everybody has some sort of thought on what the Cowboys need. We were talking a little while ago about Stephen Jones and his thoughts, which I know mean a great deal to many of you. But many of you have chimed in with your thoughts in the Brigade Bar. That's why we encourage you certainly to go to sasportstar.com to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search for SA Sports Star. You can watch the show that way. Subscribe, like the video, turn on the notifications. And I say that, and if you don't know what that means, you turn on the notifications, and it lets you know, you get a notification on your device, your phone, whatever the case may be, when we go live. So in case you're caught up in something, you say, hey, the crew's live. Let me hang out with them. Let me join the Brigade Bar. And while we're here talking about the Dallas Cowboys, Stephen Jones was quoted, or we played a quote from him on Tuesday about Tyler Smith, what will now be third-year offensive lineman from Tulsa, the mighty football factory that is Tulsa. Tyler Smith has played both left tackle and left guard for the Cowboys, although he was originally envisioned to be a left guard inside of Tyron Smith. But the fact that Tyron Smith may or may not return to the Cowboys in 2024 is what has casted a bit of a shadow, a bit of a cloud over this subject in terms of what the best thing to do, what exactly it is. So Steven kind of flirted with the idea of moving Tyler around. And if the Cowboys are able to bring Tyron back in free agency, that kind of puts an end to that overall discussion. I think you could totally see, though, Tyron just kind of jumping on the Chiefs bandwagon and trying to go get a Super Bowl, kind of, their version of David West. But a lot of you have thoughts on this. Brian says in the Brigade Bar, in terms of just overall, well, actually, first of all, Brian says, leave Smith at guard. Dude will be a Hall of Fame. Bro has grown man strength. We need that in the middle of I think you mean the offensive line. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. When it comes to offensive linemen and elite offensive linemen, you want some long arms. You want some 34-ish inch arms. I mean, you want some long arms that are able to obviously keep defenders at bay. The shorter your arms, the easier it is to kind of gain leverage. And Tyler Smith does not have the longest arms in the NFL, or certainly among Dallas Cowboys offensive linemen. And so that's why you can make an argument that he's better suited to play guard, although he certainly held his own his rookie year at tackle when Tyron Smith was hurt. But the question at hand, the question at large is, what do the Dallas Cowboys need, right? Because they need to figure out the offensive line issue, but they need to do a lot of different things. Jesus, it's time to let Tyron go. Can't make the club in the tub. That is one course of action they could certainly take. A lot of you do have some thoughts. Brian also offered the star players need to stand up and do better in the playoffs. It's Dak, CD, Micah Parsons. You need your best players to play their best, and none of them didn't. It's the mindset. Pete Estrada said in the Brigade Bar, they have a leadership issue. It isn't with front office personnel. It is with the lack of winning veteran leadership. I agree with that, which is why I was so excited last year when the Cowboys traded for Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks, because they were these players who had done some legitimate things in the NFL, had climbed the highest of highs. In Stephon Gilmore's case, had accomplished the most impressive things you could accomplish in this league, both on an individual and a team level. Marco, by the way, says the physical features of professional athletes always boggles me. 36-inch arms. I don't think I have 36-inch legs. It is a crazy sort of phenomenon, the way professional athletes are built. But what do the Cowboys need? All right. Is it culture? Is it more talent? Is it an extension for this player? Is it more money in the salary cap? Because you can slice it any which way you want. They can be the favorites. They can be the underdogs. They can be at home. They can be on the road. They can be coming in hot. They can be coming in cold. They can have an MVP caliber quarterback. They can have the best wide receiver in the NFL. They can have all these records. They could have never lost a game at home all season. They can literally have somebody set the NFL record for most pick sixes in a season, and somehow, some way, none of it is enough. So what is the thing? What is the secret sauce? What is the ingredient that we are missing? What is the missing page to this recipe? Well, on Tuesday, we got some input from somebody who isn't even in the kitchen anymore. The former head chef, now across town at a different restaurant, Dan Quinn, former Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Washington Commanders, has spoken, obviously, since taking up that new post, but was asked specifically on Tuesday what the Dallas Cowboys need. And here's what my man Danny Q had to say.
Part of the reason for going back there last year was to absolutely go for it in the biggest way. And so to come up short in that end, no doubt about that, that hurt and that left a mark. But I think as a competitor, you keep going back. You keep getting back in the fight, and you find, the small edges and the small margins to do that. And I know that they will. They've got a really strong and solid locker room. And if you have that part right first, that gives you a real chance to make your mark.
I'm not trying to just be a grouch, but what does that even mean if you have a really strong locker room? Because we just sat here, all of us, you and me, and we said the Cowboys have a bit of a culture issue. They have a bit of a lack of accountability when it comes to leadership, veteran leadership, winning pedigree, right? Money in the bank that people can look at and see and touch and know it's real. They're a bunch of inexperienced players and people when it comes to trying to do this very particular thing. And then we asked Dan Quinn, well, what do they need? He says, well, they just need people who know how to do that. Okay, that's kind of a problem relative to what we have to work with, the ingredients in the proverbial kitchen. Brian, once again in the Brigade Bar, says Cowboys need a player to be loud and jump on the guys. Brian, I'm going to push back on this just a little bit. And by the way, in addition to the Brigade Bar, we would love to hear your thoughts on this. 656-ESPN, 656-3776. You can always get in touch with the show, and you can be loud with us. But I think that because football is this gladiator sport, we associate, screaming and yelling and, jumping down people's throats as the only point of leadership. And I'm not saying that isn't something that is common or is even necessary at a certain point in time. But what they really need is an innovator. What they really need is a thinker. What they really need is somebody to be proactive in a lot of these areas. Dan Quinn was a wonderful defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. All right. But check the tape as far as my personal record. All right. Danny Q and I have not been seeing eye to eye for quite some time. Everybody has fallen so in love with this defense over the course of the last 1,000 days, and rightly so. They've had 1 billion turnovers. They've had 1 billion defensive touchdowns. They literally had a player set the pick six record this past season. We talked about that. They've had a player who played so well that he is in all likelihood going to become the highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL in a matter of months in Micah Parsons. By the way, think about that. It is highly probable that the Cowboys this same offseason signed the highest paid players in defensive history in the NFL and in general history in the NFL in Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott. But that's a conversation for another day. That being said, this offense has been good enough. It was definitely not good enough. I'm totally with you. All right. I don't need to have you jump down my throat. It was not good enough in any way, stretch or form against the Green Bay Packers. Nobody was. We're simpatico there. All right. But this defense, this idea, this Dan Quinn, oh, they got the right guys, just got to, whatever. They got to try hard, whatever. This idea that the defense, has been good enough, I think is a bit of a mirage. I mean, this defense got worked against the Green Bay Packers. And a lot of that is Dan Quinn's fault. And it makes the fact that he's, speaking or was speaking on Tuesday with a different voted set of clothes as a head coach in the NFL all the more flabbergasting, although the fact that it was Washington and they were the last seat remaining in musical chairs kind of makes that make a little bit of sense. But the Cowboys, that whole phenomenon is representative of what their overall problem is. It isn't just a lack of yelling or just a lack of leadership or just a lack of veteran accountability or whatever you want to call it. They're not a proactive team. You look at the way they play defensively, and they have been built upon playing fast, playing the pass, generating turnovers, generating takeaways. They are a boom or bust kind of team defensively. What did the Green Bay Packers do? They said, well, you want to play soft like that? You want to play back? We're just going to run this thing down your throat. We're going to play out of 12 personnel. We are going to push you around, and we are going to exhaust you, and we are going to make you sorry that you are in this game against us. And when you finally quit, we're going to break your back by going deep off of play action over and over and over and over again, like the Marshawn Lynch quote. And it worked. And guess what? That offensive design is percolated all across the NFL. And we've all known that forever. Kyle Shanahan's disciples didn't just, find these positions today. They've been in the NFL for about half a decade now in terms of positions of prominence. And it's just now that the Cowboys are realizing that what they've devoted, as I mentioned, the last 1,000 days towards is an archaic way to approach and to attack that. And so they have to kind of get down to bare bones. They have to find somebody that can be proactive, that can look forward, that can say, you know what we have to do? We have to be one step ahead of the current design, of the current offensive scheme that is percolated all across the NFL. That is what we have to do. And you know what you do when you got to do that? You go get Mike Zimmer, apparently. That's how the Cowboys have decided to combat this whole situation. I don't mean to throw Mike under the bus. I've come around a little bit on it. I still am very upset with the whole process of how we got here. In the Brigade Bar, Jeff McClanahan says Parsons is a good example. Jerry will make him the highest paid player in the league, but he's not great. Jeff, love you, buddy. But we can be mad at Micah, and you can be annoyed at his podcast, and you can wish he didn't do this and he didn't say that, and whatever the case may be. Be annoyed. You have every right to be annoyed. But the idea or the presentation that Micah Parsons is not great is a bridge too far. All right. I'm ready to, my pitchfork is out and it's sharpened and I'm ready to rock. But let's just be straight up about this. Micah Parsons is certainly great. Brian, by the way, notes the defense went down the hill when they played the Seahawks. My man, Brian. Again, Dan Quinn was awesome, but this defense got worked over the course of the second half of the season. And it really did begin with that game. Was it December 1st or November 30th, whatever it was, of that Thursday night game on Amazon Prime. By the way, I do think we maybe have Amazon to thank for the big boost in the salary cap. The cap, notably $255.4 million, had the biggest increase year to year that it has ever had in NFL history. And the big reason for that was the media rights money, the TV money that has come in. Amazon, in case you forgot, paid $1 billion, which I'm sure was mostly, generated by all the crap you and I order on a day-to-day basis. But $1 billion they paid for the Thursday Night Football package. And that is a big reason why the Cowboys have enough room to be able to do things, even though they have to negotiate extensions for the aforementioned Micah Parsons, for Dak Prescott, for CeeDee Lamb. Do not let the Cowboys convince you, because they will try. Do not let them convince you that they are strapped, that they cannot sign free agents, that they are stuck, that the extensions are holding them back. Do not take the cheese. They will try their hardest to get you to believe that this is the player's fault and that they have nothing they can do. That is a lie. They can figure this out. They can get out of the box. They can get out of the corner they have painted themselves in. They just have to do some work. Chris Breckenridge in the Brigade Bar says Cowboys culture issue throughout the season. Things were not going well on the field. Watch Lamb padding on the sideline or head down on the bench. Leaders, what leaders? CD definitely had a rough moment in the playoff loss. I don't think anybody would deny that. CD himself said on Micah Parsons' podcast that he needs to grow up, I think was the verbiage he used. But I mean, it was a poor time to have a bad moment like that, or a bad time to have a poor moment. But I don't think that there's enough data there to say it's a consistent issue for CeeDee Lamb. Hunter Hitch says, I want to push you around. Well, I will. Well, I will. No, that's not Matchbox 20. That's the Green back so far. Brian says Cowboys let go of Gout, then keep Dak this last year. The Dak extension, I know you all love hearing about this. It is likely fewer than 2 weeks away. And I think this situation is important to contextualize in case you don't know. 2 weeks from today is when free agency begins in the NFL. Happy New Year! We will see all the lame tweets 2 weeks from today when the new league year officially begins in the NFL. What that means is that transactions can officially process, but I mean, technically today, teams could agree to trades. They just cannot happen in a formalized way. We have seen that a lot in recent history. A lot of quarterback trades, things like the Matthew Stafford trade, the Russell Wilson trade, whatever. Russell Wilson, that's a whole different set of problems, by the way. But those things have been agreed upon and agreed to in an informal way, but formalized at the beginning of the new league year in recent memory. So 2 weeks from today is when that date comes around, but it is 2 days before then. In this case, it's March the 11th, 3/11, when the legal tampering window opens in the NFL, and the Cowboys, along with every other team, can officially negotiate with veteran players on the open market. And they will try very hard between now and then. All right, they're sitting up straight. You know the meme, the video game meme, sitting up and taking it seriously now because you're losing. You're down to 2 lives, and you got to go figure things out. You got to go get a health pack or whatever the case may be. It's like when in the new Spider-Man game when you're just dodging and trying to generate enough experience to heal. The Cowboys will try very, very, very hard to convince you that they cannot do anything. Need I remind you that the Cowboys were the last, that is LAST, they were the last team in the NFL last year to sign a veteran free agent. Now, they did trade, and we gave them their props. We gave them their flowers. We threw them parades. They did trade for Stephon Gilmore. They did trade for Brandon Cooks, and they deserved credit for that, which is why we gave it to them. But they were the last team in the NFL to sign a veteran free agent. That cannot be the case this year. All right? Whatever Dan Quinn says, whatever Stephen Jones says, that cannot be the case this year. Multiple things can be true. And it can be true that the Cowboys have been a highly consistent team over the course of the last 1,000 days, that they deserve credit for that, but that it is not good enough. And the reason it's not good enough isn't even about them losing to the Green Bay Packers. It's about not being enough against the San Francisco 49ers or against the San Francisco 49ers or against the Green Bay Packers or losing against the Arizona Cardinals this past season or losing against the Miami Dolphins. This team has warts, just like every team in the NFL. And that's what is important to identify here. There is not a single team in the NFL that you can point to right now and say they're good. They don't have to do a single thing in free agency. Now we're starting to reach a point of ridiculousness with the Kansas City Chiefs to where you can kind of maybe legitimately say that, because at this point it's so inevitable that Patrick Mahomes is just going to win this whole thing no matter what anybody else does or how bad the Chiefs roster looks on paper. But the exception of all exceptions aside, every team in the NFL should do everything they can within their power to utilize every aspect of team and roster building. The Dallas Cowboys believe themselves to be, for very good reason, a well-drafted team. Recent history suggests, last year aside, that the Cowboys know what they're doing when it comes to the NFL draft. Kudos, props. We'll give you your flowers. All right. There are more ways to add to your team. There are no rules that say you have to only do one. There is nothing that inhibits you from signing players in free agency and being a well-drafting team. And if, guess what? Because of the way the timeline of all this is constructed, if you sign players in free agency, it minimizes the needs you have in the draft, right? We went into the draft last year. We said, man, the Cowboys really need a run-stopping defensive tackle. Boom, baby. Here's Mozzie Smith. All right, party. Pizza party time. Everybody get hyped. And then what happens? Mozzie's not that great. And we're all pissed off and we're all sad and we're all frustrated. And we're saying, well, this stinks because the dude who they thought was going to be the answer isn't very good. So they don't have anybody to sort of, fill this hole, fill this need. Here's a wild, wacky idea. What if you can draft somebody and you kind of just add through every avenue of team building? We're sitting here right now. We're saying the Dallas Cowboys need help at linebacker. They have to get bigger. They have to get real, legitimate linebackers on their team. No more of this converted safety nonsense. You have to do it. You know what would be silly and would honestly be kind of reckless is if the Cowboys went into this offseason and said, all right, we need a linebacker. Going to take care of one in the draft. Boom. Done. We're a great drafting team. That's what we're going to do. No, don't do that. I mean, by all means, draft a linebacker, but sign one in free agency. More. We always want more. You have more money. You've been given more money in this particular year relative to the salary cap than you've ever been given in any year before in the past. Use it. You have a surplus. I don't care if it's a copy machine. I don't care if it's chairs for everybody in the office. It has to be something. You have to find a way to utilize all of the resources at your disposal to improve your football team. And what that means more than anything is you got to do some work. You got to get out of your seat. You got to get into the grind of it all. You got to roll those sleeves up and you got to burn some midnight oil and you got to get some work. You have to exercise every single avenue. You have to look under every rock and you have to double check and you have to look under those rocks and these rocks and some of these things that are decorative rocks and maybe they, aren't rocks, but you have to look, you have to check. That is exactly what this time of year is for. You have to exhaust yourself in the name of improving this team because you never know the moment in time that player or that position or that thing or whatever you saw or scouted or smelled or whatever the case may be, it's going to be a benefit to you. You simply cannot continue to rely upon the same most important 5 people on your team and hope that they carry you. You have more avenues than ever to improve your team. All right. Now, Dan Quinn thinks they need a strong locker room. That's great, but you need a lot more than that. You're in the NFL, the most competitive league in the world. You have to find a way to be better. You have to exercise every avenue of roster building. And if you don't, well, it's like Logan Roy said, I love you, but you're just not serious people. Woo! Even in the middle of February, the end of February, the Cowboys find a way to fire us up, don't they? If you think that stinks, wait till I tell you what happened to the San Antonio Spurs. All right. The San Antonio Spurs have wrapped up the Rodeo Road trip. And when I say wrapped up, it's like when you forgot to wrap the Christmas gift and you didn't have any left. And so you had like half of a roll of one and half of another. You didn't really have any tape. So you kind of folded it over. It looks all terrible. It looks all nasty, not the kind of nasty we want to see from the Spurs. It looks bad nasty. All right. This is just a nasty time to be a San Antonio Spurs fan. They lost on Tuesday night to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're headed back home, tails tucked between their legs. No, they're not, because they're willing to bench Wemby. they're willing to bench Jeremy Sohan. They're willing to bench Keldon Johnson. You better not step one toe out of line because the Spurs are going to get pissed off. And when they get pissed off, you're going to have to miss some time in the third quarter. You're not going to be on the floor when Minnesota goes on a 12-0 run. You're going to be the one missing out on all this fun. So you better get things in order here. We have a whole lot to get to relative to sports, Spurs, and whatever else here on the Morning Huddle. So do not go anywhere. Get another cup, get a pastry, buckle up, and get ready. We march on. A 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Stars Spring Golf Classic is set. Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas. With plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Hey, this is Rob Thompson here for Prize Picks. If you have downloaded the Prize Picks app and you're playing, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to those that think that there's something out of reach. If you want to play a game that your skill plays a role in, I want you to download Prize Picks because it's about more or less. It's not about winning and losing. Use your knowledge to pick out who is going to do the best and decide whether it's going to be more or less. A couple of clicks before you know it, you're playing the game. And it's all about the knowledge. Download Prize Picks. You'll see what I'm talking about. Basketball is in full swing. The tournament's just around the corner. There is no better way. Prize Picks. You know your guys. You know what they're capable of. Is it higher or lower? 2 or 3 clicks, more and more X's, more and more money. And if you download Prize Picks now and use the word Alamo in your promo code, there's $100 to play with. More or less, a couple of clicks. Go do it. It's Prize Picks. Start playing today. Thank me later.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
The most common form of treatment for the arthritic joints is normally cortisone injections and gel shots and over-the-counter medications. And most patients have tried all of that and are still in pain.
Every day, Dr. Aaron Wolkoff, a QC Kinetics medical director, meets patients who have exhausted every method to get relief. They've been told surgery is their only option.
They want to stay away from that path, and they come to us almost as the last hope. So we're using our own body's properties to help manage pain, to help slow arthritis down, keep the patients active with no downtime, and getting back to what they enjoy doing. I mean, I love what I do.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments from our board-certified providers help heal and restore aching joints. No surgery, harmful drugs, or downtime. Call for your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 210-571-0318. That's 210-571-0318. 210-571-0318.
Let our team keep your home running comfortable and worry-free. Call on Mr. Electric for all your electrical needs. 210-248-2026. Or get a hold of us online at mrelectric.com and enter your zip code.
License number TECL 34221.
Now is the best time to buy a Kinetico water softener. With current models being closed out to make way for the new ones, you can save big. Call Kinetico at 656-PURE and tell them Dave Ramsey sent you. That's 656-PURE.
Have you gotten your hands on Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds at HEB yet? Southern Recipe small batch offers big, bold flavors like hot honey, spicy dill, and sea salt and cracked black pepper. Bonus, you're going to love the low-carb, high-protein crunch. Turn snack time from ordinary to extraordinary with flavorful pork rinds. Pick up your favorite flavors of Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds at HEB today.
This is 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, KTFM Floresville.
Head of the field and throws it down with a right hand.
Your home for the NBA.
Wembanyama three. Good.
Goes behind the back here. Oh, little sidestep and a jam by Wembanyama.
Drive. Oh, it's knocked away by Wembanyama.
This is the Morning Huddle on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. With Rob Thompson and the managing editor of Blogging the Boys, RJ Ochoa. Now, here's Rob and RJ.
Huddle up. It is the Morning Huddle here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. My name's RJ Ochoa. My co-host Rob Thompson not here today. The dashing and debonair Edwin Hafner on the ones and twos, keeping me alive. My life is literally in Edwin's hands, and I tell you what, I've never, ever felt this safe and this cared for. So thank you very much, Edwin, for having my back.
Not safe when the Cowboys are playing.
You know what, Edwin, we were off on a great start, and there's that. You know what? Go Bucks. Go Brewers. How about that? So, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Anyway, not safe when the Cowboys are playing. Not safe when the Spurs are playing. Apparently. Inherently. It is, of course, silver and black. We do it every day. Las Vegas Raiders, get out of here with that, all right? Silver and black belongs to us, all right? Talking about San Antonio Spurs. You can access it, of course, sasportstar.com, where, by the way, you can sign up for our golf tournament coming up in now less than a month. Hurry up. I think there's only a handful of spots left. We'll all be out there. We'll be having a good time. We'll be, be sinking putts, to say the least. So head to sasportstar.com. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, SA Sports Star. Like the video, subscribe. I already said subscribe. I was going to say turn on the notifications. Whatever. It's the morning. We're all powering through. And it's difficult to do so on the heels of the 48th loss of the season for the San Antonio Spurs. 48th loss of the season for the San Antonio Spurs, I said. This one, this variety, 114-105 against the T-Wolves, who were clearly a little pissed off about the way things went the last time that the Spurs played them when they won. We did not think it would go well. It did not. And not only did it not go well, the Spurs at no point in time had a positive win probability. We live in a day and age of so much information, and at no single point in time did the fanciest computers in the world think that the Spurs had a chance at winning this game. In fact, the lowest win probability that the T-Wolves had throughout the entire course of this game came with 8 minutes and 2 seconds left in the first quarter. The T-Wolves had a 78.3% win probability, despite the fact that they were losing. At that moment in time, it was 10-5 San Antonio. And of course, that did not last very long. Goldfinger123 says in the chat, do the Spurs have a culture problem? It's funny you asked this, Goldfinger, because, was doing a few things on Tuesday evening, minding my own business, and we had a tweet go out here from our station account. Make sure you follow us all over the socials. SA Sports Star is how you do that. And we had a clip from the incomparable Joe Reinagle, who has been a bit busy this week, obviously. With flying Han style himself on the Blitz on Monday and Tuesday. That will change this afternoon, as I understand it. And Joe actually sat in with me on Monday's edition of the Morning Huddle. And when we were doing this segment, when we were talking about the Spurs in silver and black, Joe went off. Joe got pissed. Joe basically said the Spurs have a culture problem in so many words.
I think Pop has coddled these guys in ways that I have never seen Greg Popovich do before. And everybody tells me, well, it's a new brand of player and kids today and yada, yada, yada. And I just don't buy that. You play professional basketball, you either do it right or you don't do it at all. And it's what it's come to. And that's what's sad about it all is the fact that we're applauding these guys for just staying close.
It was Joe Reinagle on the Morning Huddle here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star on Monday. That's why everyone should subscribe to us on YouTube so you can go back and access those things and relive the best and some would say worst moments of the San Antonio Spurs season. And this idea is picking up steam. But when this went out, I was so interested to kind of see how, the Pop stands and the Spurs stands among Spurs Twitter, they had a bit of a problem with this. And I would argue that this coddling is extending beyond Pop. To Joe's point, there are so many people who refuse to admit that this team stinks. I mean, this team is so bad. They did not stand a chance on Tuesday night against Minnesota. They, in no way, shape, or form, belonged on the same floor as the Timberwolves. Now, the Timberwolves are one of the best teams in the NBA, and so some of that is that. But this was just never a game. This was an exhibition. This was just an outing. This was just cardio for Minnesota as far as any of us were concerned. Goldfinger chimes in also on the Brigade Bar. I would also argue they have a leadership issue. Well, it's funny you say that, Goldfinger, because we talked about on Sunday night, this was on Monday, of course, how Keldon was benched after 4 minutes. Get out of there, dude. We've seen enough. We're not here to have you. You can't be embarrassing us. All right. You can't go embarrass the 11-win Spurs. All right, Keldon. We hold ourselves to a higher standard than that, and the Spurs kept up with this, putting out of their chest on Tuesday night in Minnesota, said, you know what, Wemby, you know what, Jeremy, you think you can turn the ball over and get away with it? No way, no foul. You cannot be doing that kind of stuff. We're going to pull you guys. So the Spurs, they benched Wemby, they benched Jeremy. Jeremy got banished, never got to return to the game. Wemby did because, duh. And after the game, Wemby was asked about this, about being benched, about being pulled, et cetera, and he, of course, said everything you would expect him to say.
Yeah, I mean, we're being held accountable for our mistakes, and this is the only way to get better. And we have to make those mistakes to get better. But it's, the quicker the better.
Why do they have to make those mistakes to get better? Why? Why is that a prerequisite? Now, obviously, as human beings, we learn from mistakes. Nobody is denying this, right? You touch the hot stove, you learn not to do that, right? You walk outside when it's raining, you say, next time I'm putting on a jacket or I'm carrying an umbrella. You don't have to make mistakes. Now, some people would say when they parent or whatever, they got to learn. They got to learn. You don't have to learn this way. The learning comes from teaching, and instead of learning, by trial and error, learning, in this baptism by fire culture or whatever, it does not have to be this way. Pop spoke after the game. We didn't hear from him after Sunday night's game. He wasn't feeling well. So hopefully Pop is feeling better. It was Mitch Johnson then, but Pop did talk after the loss to Minnesota and just, again, kind of said the same old pleasantries.
Well, you can't win games when you give up 30 points off turnovers. That's the bottom line. Every time we've done that this year, we've gotten our butts kicked. So that happened again tonight. Everything else is pretty irrelevant. Last game, we gave up 34 points off turnovers. So that's the deal.
On Sunday night against the Jazz, the Spurs committed 20 turnovers as a team. 20. That's 20 turnovers as a team. That had not happened by an NBA team, as in an NBA team had not committed 20 turnovers in a game in a year. A literal year. Was the Clippers last year in their old gross uniforms. I like the new ones a lot, by the way. Against, I think it was Memphis, that they had 20 turnovers in. So Spurs, once again, turned the ball over. Had 23. Think about that. It hadn't happened in forever. And they did it in back-to-back nights. How is this possible? How can you be this bad this consistently? Cougs in the Brigade Bar says, we only had a 4-minute stretch of going scoreless instead of 5. Progress. Antonio Williams says, sitting on the dock of the bay wasting time. That's all this is, guys. We're just wasting time. We're just aging. That's all that is being accomplished this season. I had so many people in my mentions after the Joe clip went out. Oh, well, you have to give them, wait the process, Giannis and Middleton's first season in Milwaukee, this and that. It doesn't have, there's no rule. There's not an ironclad, non-negotiable thing that says you have to suck the first year that you have this amazing player. Again, Wemby didn't even have the good stuff last night and was still a thrill. And the fact that he is this good isn't proof of some process working. It is an indictment on the process at large. How can you be this bad? How can you turn the ball over this much, this often, this consistently with somebody like that is a part of your rotation? And last night, more a part of it than ever. Not ever, but I mean, he played 32 minutes last night. And granted, we have accomplished that. We are finally playing the super awesome player. Great. Well done. We'll check that box off here as far as our overall score is concerned. But you cannot continue to be this in all caps lock, this bad. Timmy Pratt in the Brigade Bar says, Wemby is awesome, but his teammates and the coaching stinks. And I put it to you, Timmy. Certainly open to hearing anybody's comments in the Brigade Bar. You want to chime in, you always can. 656 ESPN, 656-3776. The Wemby being awesome thing is awesome, but it's actually kind of meaningless now. And it's not, hollow, and it will be awesome. We'll all celebrate when he wins Rookie of the Year, but it is starting to lose some awesomeness. It is starting to lose some steam. I mean, it is starting to actually enrage us that Wemby is awesome and that they are so bad. Pumbaa mentioned something I said, that having not just one of the best rookie seasons of all time, he is having one of the best NBA seasons of all time. And that is exciting for the future. That is exciting for what he will be. But to just waste it, and to almost waste it intentionally and purposefully, is really difficult to fathom and really difficult to take. Cougs in the Brigade Bar says, I hope this is the year Spurs fans start pointing the fingers at coaching, front office. Who can you point it at? I mean, like, if somebody has to be at fault, and somebody does, you can, again, miss me with this. Oh, it's all part of, this is not some grandmaster plan, people. Wake up. This is not, genius at work. Okay. This is not all going perfectly according to the way that they envisioned it when they drafted Wemby. This is not ideal. This is among the worst ways this particular season could have gone. And somebody has to be at blame for that. You can say it's Brian Wright. You can say it's Pop. You can point the finger at pointing the finger at any player on the roster is kind of wasting time in my mind. We can be mad at Keldon. We can be mad at Devin after the New Orleans loss. And he's played really well since then. And I think he deserves a lot of props. Again, that night was a poor one, but he's played really well in that time. I'm not willing to blame any players here. The roster stinks. So we're going to be mad at the not great players for not being great. That seems like a waste of energy. It did not have to be this way. It did not have to be so bad that you literally never had a chance, according to all advanced analysis and measurement of this game. They won one game on the Rodeo Road trip. They won one game on the Rodeo Road trip. They have won one game. Tomorrow is the last day of February. All right. And the Spurs will play. And if you think they're beating the Thunder, well, good for you. I've got some, beachfront property and wherever to sell you. But the Spurs are on the verge, as of tomorrow night, at least, of having won a single game in the month of February. One game this month throughout all of February. Their most recent win was over 2 weeks ago in Toronto. Again, the lone win of the Rodeo Road trip. Before that, they had won 2 in a row. What a wonder that was. And we convinced ourselves that they could have actually won 3 in a row, something that has not happened at all this season. And they should have. But they blew that third game against Washington because this is not a good team. This is not a team that knows how to play functional team basketball. This is a team that has Wemby doing 14 amazing things a game and just, 4 other dudes at any given moment in time, just kind of randomly a part of the show. It is unbelievable that they have found a way to be this consistently poor and not even accidentally stumble into some sort of relevancy along the way. I mean, NBA Twitter was having all sorts of fun on Tuesday night about Washington being as bad as Detroit now. We are so close. Does anybody realize how close we are to being as bad as the Pistons? The Pistons remain at 9-49. All right, but even they are coming off of a win. I mean, the Wizards have lost 12 in a row. We're on the way. We're barely better. I mean, it's Kook says, let's go back to Canada. That's a great point. I saw a chat. Kook says we haven't won in the States this month. Great way of contextualizing it. The last time the Spurs won a road game in the United States was actually at Washington back on January 20th. The Spurs have won, 2 road wins in the United States in 2024. That's it. Everything is so bad. Timmy Pratt says in the Brigade Bar, I think Spurs fans, myself included, feel the same, angry, irritated, and confused with no one inside to the dumb things we are seeing from this team. And I think that we have 2 polar ends of fans right now. There are those of us who are just angry and irate, because how can you not be at this point in time? And then there are those who are willing to continue to trust the front office, who are willing to continue to trust Pop, who are willing to say, you just have to deal with this. You just have to deal with this. And to that end of the spectrum, I put it to you, I think I speak for Timmy and everybody else on our side. Why? What benefit of the doubt? What is the best thing? And this is an actual question. What is the body of work they have to show for themselves? What is the thing that they can point to and say, here's the thing that we did that you should trust in recent memory? That's it. That's the big thing that we're giving them credit for all of a sudden, is having won the lottery. No, you don't get credit for that. I mean, just because you won the real lottery doesn't mean you're great on Wall Street. That's the equivalent of what you're saying. You're saying, guys, this dude I know, he won the lotto. It was a scratch off. It was this insane thing. And he's telling us right now, this stock is hot. That's the equivalent of what you're saying. All right. This is a storied NBA franchise with more success than we could have ever dreamed of. And yes, some of our emotions here are related to that. We are accustomed to seeing this team compete, which is why seeing them be so incompetent is so difficult to take. They're not just bad. They're not just losing. Those things are understandable. Those things are forgivable. But to be this uncoordinated, this, loosey-goosey, so to speak, is ridiculous. And by the way, Chris Courtney says in the Brigade Bar, do you trust Brian Wright? I trust Pop, but what the hell is Brian Wright doing? I don't trust anybody right now. I mean, I hate to be so, wide with how I'm casting my net. I trust Wemby to be great. That's it. And I trust that Wemby will carry on the corporate knowledge of acting and participating in the Spurs way of things, as evidenced by the fact that he stuck up for him getting benched. We talked about that already, obviously. But that is the other thing. And my biggest current problem with the Spurs, you cannot expect us to take seriously your sudden turn and wanting to bench Keldon after 4 minutes on Sunday against Utah. And this isn't even a defense of Keldon Johnson. But you cannot jump in and all of a sudden pretend that you are now throwing out repercussions and throwing out, all sorts of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then on Tuesday night, bench Wemby. And what are you accomplishing? Really? What are you really and legitimately accomplishing by benching Wemby? And yes, you're benching Jeremy Sohan, who you didn't even allow back in the game. But here's the other thing. You benched Keldon on Sunday night. He didn't get to go back into the game. You benched Jeremy on Tuesday night. He didn't get to go back into the game. You benched Wemby on Tuesday night. He did get to go back into the game. And while that is for understandable and obvious reasons, if that's going to be your thing, if you're going to be Mr. Hard-ass and just bench dudes and take them out and, you better play our way, you better not commit silly fouls, you better not turn the ball over, or else, then why are you letting people back in the game? You got to be the same way all the time. This just looks like they're just it's starting to feel like they're as desperate as we think they are. And that's why the panic feels louder and bigger than it did over the majority of the beginning of the season. This last month has been a hellscape. This last month has been really difficult to take because it's starting to feel like they don't have the answers that they thought that they were going to have. I mean, this is, Rudolph Gonzalez says you were a young dad, but I'm pretty sure one day you'll see that sometimes you have to put your foot down and enough is enough. I agree with that. And, thankfully my son is 2. And so not really in any kind of situations, here to be that way, but this is enough. I mean, how can anybody not feel like this is enough? If you are trusting the Spurs, if that is your position on this, you reserve the right to feel however you want to. We should all approach sports the way that we want to. You should be able to say, look, this is my team. I trust them. They have this track record, and I'm going to give them all benefits of the doubt as it relates to things like this, because most of history in my lifetime suggests that is a good idea. Fine. That's up to you. And that's your opinion. And we're all allowed to have them. But at this point, that position is based more on hope than anything. It is not. In fact, it's exclusively based on hope. There is no data point that any of these hope-filled people can point to in recent memory to say, oh, this is why we should be trusting the Spurs right now. This is the thing they did. This is the development that they have. This is the track record that they have to show. None of that is there. The evidence is not there to support that particular kind of claim. Daniel says in the Brigade Bar they are tanking for the draft again. Fine, but you already did that. I mean, and that is that may be true, but that is the easy thing to throw out, to explain, to get rid of everything, and to just kind of, give them a free pass or whatever you want to call it, because you cannot say over and over and over again, they're tanking. At some point, you got to do this. At some point, you got to take this seriously. And we're a few months away from seeing how seriously they're going to take it. I saw Trae Young, future Spur, hopefully, had surgery. Hopefully he's, feeling better and getting rested up, ready to rock for the 2024-2025 season. Too little, too late this season. I think this should have happened within the first 15 games. And that's the thing, Googs, I agree with you. If you want to come out and be a hard ass and bench people and yank them after 4 minutes, in November and December, cool. I mean, I think that's weird, but at least you're going at this the same way. At least you're coming out the gate and being that team from the jump. But to just, wake up in the middle of the day, now post All-Star break and try to act like this, it actually is so silly that it's not at all serious, right? I mean, it's so silly that we're looking at this and saying, this is just ridiculous. This isn't real. This isn't anything that we can take seriously, because you're clearly not taking anything seriously. Cujo77 says in the Brigade Bar, RJ hump day rant. It's not even a hump day rant. It's just, we can't keep watching the same game. I mean, that's all we're watching. I mean, in the blink of an eye, it's over and cool. Wemby's going to do something epic. He's going to have a highlight that's going to be played all over Twitter. And we're going to rightfully talk about how great he's going to be over the course of his career. But he's great now. We don't have to wait. This idea or this inference that we have to be patient for Wemby to develop and for all this stuff to happen around him is a lie. He's great now. You can be great now. And maybe asking them to be great now is a stretch relative to recent history and where the Spurs are still trying to fight their way back from. But it is not a stretch to say that you can be good now. Hell, it is not a stretch to say you can be competent now, because that at bare minimum is the bar that we are asking them to clear, and it is impossible for them right now. And they at no point in time had a positive win probability against Minnesota. None. Even with a 5-point lead, the advanced analysis of this game said, they have no shot. They have no shot. This Spurs team, they have absolutely no shot at making this throughout the entire course of the game. Timmy Pratt in the Brigade Bar says, we saw the trade deadline pass not too long ago with 0 moves to improve, which was also frustrating. Timmy, you have to trust, man. You have to trust. Why would the Spurs utilize the trade deadline? We talked about this a little while ago with the Cowboys. Every avenue of team building should be exercised. Every avenue. If you're ignoring it, if you're thumbing your nose, you have no right to thumb your nose at any avenue of team building at this point in time. You are on the ground floor. Despite having somebody taller than the building on your team, you are on the ground floor. You have to find a way to start climbing to the top. Get to the second floor, and we will start to take you seriously, and we will believe you when you want to bench anybody for this, that, or the other. This was Silver and Black. You can, of course, access it at sasportstar.com, our audio vault, our AABS Bail Bonds audio vault. You can also check out our YouTube channel. Search SA Sports Star on the tube of views. Subscribe, like the video, and, of course, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything when we are here, which is every single day. All right, so with the Spurs in the rearview mirror for discussion, now it's time to turn our attention to the Dallas Cowboys, who have also pissed me off. Let's talk about them next here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star Spring Golf Classic is set. Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas. With plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Starting with one store in 1978, Boot Barn has become the largest Western and workwear retailer in the nation. Supporting those who feed, build, and protect America, we offer the largest selection of cowboy boots, work boots, Western wear, workwear, and outdoor gear. With over 500,000 pairs of boots and thousands of top-quality jeans and clothing, it's an honor to support the people who make our country so great. Boot Barn. Keep West.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Taco Bell just dropped the new Cravings Value Menu. Now you can get 10 items for $3 or less, which means you can get the food you want for the price you want. It's almost like you can have your cake and eat it too. But in this case, it's a double stack taco from the new Cravings Value Menu. So basically, you can have your double stack taco and eat it too, which is a lot crunchier than cake. The new Cravings Value Menu is here. Get it at Taco Bell today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations while supplies last. Contact store for price and participation which vary. Tax extra.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% on your choice of any 3 or more A.O. Smith water heaters. And there's more. Save 15% when you buy any 4 or more Purdy products. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Flight by Yingling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling & Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Don't let pain keep you from doing the things you love. I'm Dr. Jason Garrett from Arasti. At Arasti, we fix pain fast. Whether you've been living with chronic and nagging pain for years, or if you've recently experienced an injury, our goal is to get you out of pain as quickly as possible. Arasti is completely natural and non-invasive. Plus, Arasti accepts most insurance plans. There's a location near you. Visit Arasti.com. That's AIRROSTI.com. Arasti, we fix pain fast.
This is Rob Thompson. I'm here with my brother, Jason Thompson, a lawyer for us.com.
I'm a lawyer for you. I've helped you.
Yes, he has, and many others here in San Antonio. And that's why I'm so glad I get a chance to talk to you today about what happens when you get into an accident.
It's overwhelming for everybody involved. You have this paralysis of what to do next, who to talk to, how do you get medical care, or you're in the hospital and who's going to pay for this? It's this swirl of anxiety, and many times it's even worse than the injury itself. You have to help people through that situation. And I tell every client the same thing. don't worry. I've got this. I will take care of this. Just worry about your family. Just worry about getting healthy. If I can do that for you and maximize your recovery, you stay in business, you keep clients. And for 30 years, I've kept every client I've ever had. I don't lose clients. I represent their family and friends because that's how seriously I take my job.
A lawyerforus.com. You can find him at 210-900-0400. That's 210-900-0400. Jason Thompson, a lawyerforus.com.
Tonight at 7, it's the Aggies and South Carolina on your home for March Madness. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Tonight is also the premiere of the latest season of Survivor. I'm very excited about this. So, outwit, outlast, outplay. Best reality show on television as far as I'm concerned. I am RJ Ochoa. This is the Morning Huddle on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. You are amazing in every single way, and you would be just a little bit more amazing if you checked out sasportstar.com, if you signed up for our golf tournament, if you subscribed to our YouTube channel where you can access our shows and all of our wonderful content. Search for SA Sports Star, like the video, turn on the notifications. Lots of opinions these days on Merck's team. The Dallas Cowboys are center stage, as they like to be. But with the NFL Combine happening, in case you didn't know, NFL dignitaries out in Indianapolis, having those shrimp cocktails at St. Elmo's, walking through the crosswalks and all the interconnecting parts of the city. Great spot Indy is. And Tuesday was the day that plenty of general managers and coaches took to the podium or whatever the case may be and spoke in different capacities, spoke at different lengths. And of course, that list included Stephen Jones, who is neither a head coach nor a general manager, but he is the executive vice president of the Dallas Cowboys, and he is a general ball knower, which is important if you're somebody who who builds a football team. Stephen, of course, has a heavy hand, is a foremost legs of the Dallas Cowboys brain trust. And the Cowboys hold the 24th overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. But way before we get there, they have several avenues of team building that they can explore by way of free agency, which is set to begin in an official capacity 2 weeks from today at 3 p.m. Central Time. So you would think that with these decisions having to be made in an official and a formal capacity 2 weeks from today, that the Cowboys would have a plan. And they very may well have a plan. And they very may well, like everybody else across the NFL, may be bluffing right now. There's a lot of lying that happens at the NFL Combine. Nobody wants to tip their hand. Joe Shane, New York Giants general manager, said that he believes in Daniel Jones as their quarterback. If you need an example of somebody who lied. But one of the biggest lies that may have been told this offseason by anybody in the NFL may have been by Stephen's father. Jerry Jones said a month ago, while the team was at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, that they were going to be all in. They were going to be all in on this offseason, that it was going to be different, etc. And some people bought it. Some people came into the situation with a little bit more hesitancy, a little bit more pessimism. But what Stephen has to say about that is obviously important. So Stephen was asked on Tuesday about the all-in situation and really didn't do much to add much clarity to the situation.
I've never known Jerry not to be all in any given year, but
What does that even mean, Stephen? I mean, what does that mean that you've never, this is one of the more frugal teams in the NFL when it comes to veteran free agency. There's a reputation, I suppose, that Jerry has, that the Cowboys have, for spending big, right? Somebody big hits the open market and somebody on your Facebook timeline says, oh, the Cowboys will sign him, Jerry will sign him. That person is wrong. Okay. You unfriend them, unfollow them. Okay. Because that is not who the Cowboys are. The Cowboys, for over a decade now, have not been active participants in the veteran free agent market. All right. The last big time free agent who the Dallas Cowboys signed now happened 12 years ago. It was cornerback Brandon Carr. They spent a lot of money. And because he didn't turn into peak Deion Sanders, they considered it to be a cataclysmic sort of failure, even though Brandon Carr was a very serviceable player for the Cowboys. But because they did not get what they felt was a positive ROI, it's return on investment. Look at me. I could totally work in finance. The Cowboys have shied away, and they have chosen to kind of look in the bargain bin, and you never know what you can find. You can always find, that solid $5 movie, right? Sometimes Hot Tub Time Machine or whatever's in there for $5, and you feel like you got one over on the man. And the Cowboys love that. They love that $5 bin. They're looking for players who are cheap and available, and are cheap and available for good reasons. This guy would actually be getting a big contract if it weren't for this, if it weren't for the suspension, if it weren't for the injury, whatever. And because an NFL season is a battle of attrition, and you have to dig deep down into your roster in the most critical and pivotal moments, they are very often not prepared. Now, I will say that this was not the case this past season. When the Cowboys lost, when the Cowboys were humiliated by the Green Bay Packers, it wasn't because they were missing a certain player or whatever the case may be, although Trayvon Diggs and Leighton Vander Esch were among the notable Cowboys players who were unavailable for that game. They lost that game because they were out-coached, they were outworked, they were out-disciplined, they were out-hustled. In the words of Jeff Probst, they were outwitted, outlasted, and out-survived. But that cannot happen again. You have to be ready, which means you have to explore free agency, which means you have to spend some money. We saw the biggest year-to-year jump in terms of NFL salary cap space this year than we have ever seen. Granted, the salary cap has only been around since the mid-'90s. Timmy Pratt says in the Brigade Bar, the boys are always linked to big-name free agents, but never go after any of them. They go after bargain basement guys that are past their primes, or guys that are career Jags. Jason Tribble in the Brigade Bar says all in to making money while staying mediocre. They kept us wanting and spending and raked in the cash, while every year we are disappointed and grumbling, talking about next year. There is a larger sense, in my personal opinion, of apathy surrounding the Dallas Cowboys than there generally is. Now, you do have your usual amount, or at least a strong amount of diehards still who are already purchasing season tickets for next year. And I'm not going to fault anybody for that. Spend your money how you want to. But I do think that there are more people than ever that are kind of saying, you know what, I need you to prove something to me. I need you to really show that you're serious. And we're having this conversation now, you and me, around this proverbial campfire. I hope your morning's going well. Don't mind them brake lights will get you where you're going. In the words of Rob Thompson, who's not here today. But it is very possible. In fact, I would argue it is significantly more likely than not that this time 2 weeks from now, maybe let's call it 2 weeks and a day, 15 days from now, the Dallas Cowboys look dramatically different. Here is a not quite to-do list, but here is a list of things that are likely to happen in some sort of order, some sort of fashion, as they relate to the Dallas Cowboys roster and financial decisions between now and the official beginning of free agency, which once again is 2 weeks from today. The most pressing of those things is obviously the pending, looming, seemingly inevitable contract extension for Rayne Dakota Prescott. Dak Prescott currently slated, as we have discussed many times, to enter the final year of his contract with the team. He is on the books for $60 million. 6-0. That is not possible to carry. It is not something that would be wise to carry, is the more apt way to describe that. It would be categorically irresponsible. It would be categorically insane to carry that cap number into the beginning of the new league year, which is what the Dallas Cowboys would be doing if they do not have Dak Prescott signed to an extension, or if they have not restructured him this time 2 weeks from now. But I would not put it past them. That's what I'm here to tell you, not to fall for it, not to take the cheese. I would not put it past the Cowboys to turn our anger and our frustration into a weapon against the quarterback of the team. All right. Here's the way this goes. Here's the page out of the playbook. All right. The Cowboys, between now and then, leak a few different things about how they're offering Dak money to make him the highest paid player in NFL history. Now, that on the surface is a really nice sounding thing, but there are details about that matter. How is he the highest paid player? Not that I care, but is it guaranteed money? Is it annual average money, right? The details of the contract matter. That's what we need to know. But they will leak that, all right? They will leak that their offer is too good to refuse, but that Dak is refusing it. Dak is greedy, all right? This is the page out of the playbook. So pay attention over the course of the next 2 weeks if these things happen. They will leak that Dak is being greedy. And then we will get to March 11th, which is the opening of the legal tampering window when teams can negotiate with players that are going to become free agents on the 13th, right? And they will leak that they are not able to do anything because they're waiting to tie up in proper form the Dak Prescott extension. They will turn the Dak extension into something that is limiting them. That's how this will likely go over the course of the next 2 weeks. The Cowboys will convince some people, but not you, because we're having this discussion right now. They will convince some people that, hey, man, our hands are tied. All right. We can't improve this team. Dak is being too greedy and Dak is slowing us up. We're ready to go spend all the money, but Dak wants this and Dak wants that, so we can't get the deal done. His cap hit is still $60 million, and until that's done, we're stuck right here. Watch how they do this. Watch how they turn their own problem into something that everybody else has to solve for them. All right, and I think that that's exemplified by what Steven said about the all-in sort of situation. Again, nobody forced Jerry Jones to say that they would be all in. And Jerry is a very, very, very wise man. We all know this, right? Jerry is way wise enough to know that by saying we're going to be all in, that all sorts of people all over the state and country and world are saying, hell yeah, baby, let's go. We're about to be all in. We are back. We are back. Like Stu said in The Hangover, right? Was it Stu? I think it was Stu that said in the movie, but it was somebody. It was Stu when they were on their way at the end of it. We are back. It was Stu. Anyway. But Jerry knows that even if he meant it one way, that everybody will take and everyone will believe that they are going to go crazy in free agency. All right. So everybody has been all hyped up. Everybody's been juiced up and jacked up for a month, ready to see this team go all in. And Steven started the moonwalk. Steven started the walk back. Well, Jerry's been all in every year, right? I mean, who's to say all in is different than all in, right? All in is a state of mind. All in is, we're all in. Even when we're all out, we're all in on the other side, right? Because if you're zero in, you're technically all in somewhere else, right? We are watching the walk back happen in real time. We've seen this movie. This is Fast and the Furious 11, right? I think they've made 10 movies, right? Like, we have seen enough. The car's going to go fast. They're going to hit the NOS. They're going to drive into outer space. They're going to jump over a truck. We know all of the hits that they're going to try to play, all right? This is a 2-week period where they are going to hit them all right? They are going to press all of the right buttons. They're going to touch all of the right things, and you need to be prepared for it, which is why we have conversations like this, all right? We do our best to prepare you because that's the goal around here. Don't let the Cowboys lie to you. Don't let anybody lie to you, even though it is lying season in the NFL. We'll get into that much more in detail on the other side of this break. We'll see you in a moment here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's The Blitz with Jason and Joe. Afternoons at 2.
Coming up on The Blitz, it is Wednesday. The NFL Combine continues out at Indianapolis. Stephen Jones spoke yesterday. Will Jerry Jones speak today? Spurs finished up their Rodeo Road trip. They are on their way home. We'll react to that. And moving forward, what are they going to do? How do they handle Wembanyama? The Blitz begins at 2.
The Blitz with Jason and Joe. Afternoons at 2 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a new Samsung Galaxy A15 for just $99. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah! Good talk.
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. In-store activation on single silver unlimited plan or higher required. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the silver unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
This is Rob Thompson. I'm here with my brother, Jason, a practicing attorney in San Antonio for 30 years. Jason, what does that mean?
What it means is I've been representing people and families here in San Antonio injured in auto, truck, motorcycle collisions, serious injury, death accidents, taking those families and helping them through some of the worst times of their life. I've been practicing law in San Antonio for so long. I remember when the Cowboys were champions.
Seriously.
And a great staff that handles kind of the blocking and tackling of what it takes to represent clients. There are so many phone calls that need to be made, so many connections you have to have between insurance companies, physicians, opposing lawyers, relationships that you build over 30 years with adjusters, with insurance companies, with defense attorneys, with local judges. When I represent a client, they know that I'm lending my name, my reputation built on 30 years of experience to that client to get them justice.
It's Jason Thompson, alawyerforus.com. Call him at 210-900-0400, alawyerforus.com.
Do you have failing or missing teeth? Hi, I'm Dr. Andrew Mueller, Chief Oral Surgeon at Doctors Implants.
I had missing teeth, I had crowns, I had partials.
There was no way I was going to walk into my bathroom every morning to see my teeth in a container.
At Doctor's Implants, replacing your teeth with full mouth dental implants might be the long-term solution you're looking for.
The 6-Hour Smile is a permanent full mouth teeth replacement. Your new smile will be custom designed to fit your face and lifestyle and will look and function just like regular teeth. You won't need to remove them from your mouth overnight, and you won't need adhesive to keep them in place. Eat freely and smile confidently again. Research them at doctorsimplants.com. Receive a complimentary doctor's consultation and CT scan when you call 210-640-0000. Again, that's 210-640-0000.
Hey, poker players, the Big Blind is open. With a true Vegas feel, the Big Blind is the premier poker room in San Antonio, featuring an upscale environment catering to players from all abilities. Whether you are seeking high-octane tournaments or lively cash games, the Big Blind has a game for everyone. The Big Blind at 281 in Redland Road, just down from the Roo Pub, offers daily cash games to daily, weekly, and monthly tournaments. Learn more online at thebigblindsa.com. The Big Blind at 281 in Redland Road.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Let our team keep your home running comfortable and worry-free. Call on Mr. Electric for all your electrical needs. 210-248-2026. Or get a hold of us online at mrelectric.com and enter your zip code.
License number TECL 34221.
Listen to 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star on your Amazon or Google smart speaker and just say, Alexa, play 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hello. Hi. Welcome one and all. It is the Morning Huddle. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. And we love you. How about that? Make sure to check out sasportstar.com if you love us, so you can prove your love, obviously. And if you want to prove your love in a three-dimensional sense, you can do so by heading out to our golf tournament. We got less than a month to go and about a handful of spots left. So you can get registered at sasportstar.com. We'll be out there. We'll be having a great time. We can high five, bump fists, whatever you want. And while you're doing all that stuff, make sure to check out our YouTube channel, SA Sports Star. We're on the hunt for more subscribers. The Hot Ones Challenge does hang in the balance. So go subscribe, tell a friend, like the video, and of course, turn on the notifications. We're really upset with the Cowboys because duh. But there's a lot of fan bases who are upset with a lot of people right now because this is the time of year where everybody's full of it. It's so interesting. I don't know who your baseball team is, if you're Team Astros or Team Rangers or Team Brewers or whoever the case may be. But if you're a baseball fan right now, you're compartmentalizing so many different emotions because your baseball team, they're at spring training and they're in Florida or they're in Arizona, and every hope is anew. Everything feels possible. Whereas if you're an NFL team, you're just recently removed from the disappointment of how your season ended, even if you didn't make the playoffs. And you're so anxious for something to be different, and you're so anxious to see some sort of discernible proof that change is going to happen, so that when you are lied to, it feels very frustrating. Now, we are at the peak of lying season in the NFL because free agency begins 2 weeks from now. There are a lot of things that will happen, right? Relative to the Cowboys and relative to the Texans to some degree, but more relative to a few other teams, right? The Chicago Bears have to really, I wouldn't say decide. They've probably already decided, but they have to act upon what they've decided with Justin Fields. Will they keep him and do something else with the number 1 overall pick? Will they trade the number 1 overall pick? Will they draft Marvin Harrison Jr.? Or will they trade Justin Fields and draft Caleb Williams? That all remains to be seen in terms of, action that is going to go along with that effort. The New York Giants on Tuesday, Joe Shane said that, we believe in Daniel Jones as our quarterback. I think the quote was, we have faith in Daniel Jones as our quarterback. Okay, Joe, sure you do. You totally have faith in Daniel Jones, right? And I don't know what anybody thinks lying here, does, right? Ryan Poles, the general manager of the Chicago Bears, he said if they were going to trade Justin Fields, that he wanted to do right by him. Basically wanted to send him to a nice place, wanted to set him up for success. And by the way, if you're saying that, you've decided you want to trade Justin Fields. If you're saying, well, if we're going to trade Justin Fields, no, if you are not going to trade Justin Fields, then you're telling everybody right now, we're not trading Justin Fields. We're thinking about moving the number 1 overall pick. So does Ryan Poles really think that anybody that any NFL general manager who is interested in Justin Fields is saying, well, dude, Ryan said on Tuesday that they might keep Justin, so we have to really think about our plans? No, there's no naive. Can we just stop the lying? You don't have to lie anymore at this point in time. There's too much information available. There's too many quotes happening all the time. You do not have to treat people in this silly, pedantic sort of way. You can be straight up and you can say, our plan is to move on from Justin Fields. We're very grateful for what he's given the organization. We feel that we're in a position where it's best for the organization to move in a different direction, but we want to set him up to be successful somewhere else. That sounded great, I think. Now, I'm incredibly biased about my own statement, but that sounded politically correct. It sounded complimentary towards Justin Fields, and it wasn't a lie. It was all completely and totally true. And then you don't have to have us believe that you're talking to us like we're stupid, because we all know what you're trying to do, Ryan Poles. We all know that you're trying to trade Justin Fields somewhere else. We all know, Joe Shane, that you do not have faith in Daniel Jones as your quarterback. If you did, you would come out here and you would say, I can't wait to see what non-quarterback we're drafting with our first-round draft pick. But you're not saying that, because that's not true. Anything you hear right now is subject to being a lie from an NFL team. Anything. All right. This is the peak. We are at the nirvana of lying season in the NFL. So you have to take everything you hear with a grain of salt. And that even includes, people themselves. AJ Brown dialed into, was it WIP recently, and said he didn't want to be traded. I do kind of believe AJ in that sense, but you can't believe anything right now. 2 weeks from now will provide us a high level of confidence in a lot of ideas, because the new league year will have begun. We will have seen, in all extreme likelihood, a number of trades, a number of deals, a number of this, a number of that, because the new league year will be here and teams will have started to take advantage of the just endless amounts of salary cap space that they seem to have here in 2024. So the next 2 weeks, head on a swivel. All right, head on a swivel, people. You got to keep an eye out for all the lies. They're coming from here, they're coming from there, but you're going to be prepared. All right, you are going to be prepared for all of this because you tuned in here to the Morning Huddle on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. It's been a good day so far. I hope you're having one, obviously. It's an interesting time right now. It's an interesting week with everything going on. Like I said, you've got the hope of spring training while we've got the kind of purgatory sense of the NFL Combine. and we have the just like never ending purgatory that is the San Antonio Spurs. It's a really interesting time to be a sports fan in our neck of the woods right here. And so we're just trying to get through this. We're trying to take 1 foot, forward, or step 1 foot forward after the other. We're trying to be 1% better today than we were yesterday. And our hope, our endeavor, our greatest hope and our greatest endeavor is to do that alongside you, because we really do appreciate all of you. A reminder once again to check out sasportstar.com, the audio of all presented by AABS Bail Bond. Sign up for our golf tournament less than a month from now. Make sure you sign up for and subscribe to our YouTube channel. SA Sports Star is the name. Search, subscribe, like this video, like the video. Hit me up on Twitter at RJ Ochoa. Tell me you did all those things, and I will give you the salute emoji. Also, turn on notifications. And, while you're doing all this stuff, have a great day. I mean, have the best day of all time. I mean, because that's what you deserve. I want nothing but the best for you. I want you to eat something delicious for lunch and something delicious for dinner and a delicious snack in between and after and a great midnight snack so that we can be here. We could do it all again tomorrow, because that's what we do. We do not sleep around here, all right? We love each and every one of you. We'll see you soon here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Stars Spring Golf Classic is set Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas, with plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.